Okay, it is 6 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. Everyone is present and accounted for today. Go ahead and move to approval of the agenda. Staff, anything that needs to be adjusted in the current agenda?
We have no additions for the agenda tonight.
Okay. No additions. And next is consent agenda. Any discussion on any of the items in the consent agenda?
Yeah, I've got one question on the quotations for the workmans, the Toro machines. Did you, Brian, I could direct this to you if that's okay? My question was that basically a consortium you bought that from?
Was it what? I'm sorry.
You're buying these from a consortium, so we don't have, because it's already been put out to bid on the
Yes.
Toros?
Making it
Source
closer
on
to the mouth?
Yes. Do you hear me, Jim?
Yeah, I hear you. So, yeah, you did, so, okay. I was just questioning that. All right, thank you. That's all I've got.
Okay, and are we making a specific motion for the authorization of the purchase, or
You are welcome to simply make one motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
So moved.
Second it.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded.
All right, who was the motion made by? Lisa?
Lisa, and seconded by Jason.
Thank you.
Any further discussion regarding the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, state aye. Aye. All those opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, if someone can grab me the sign-in sheet for our public comment period. Take a look at that.
Did anybody not sign in that wanted to speak or anything today? No? Okay.
I just got somebody, let's see.
Okay. Well, moving right along. First action item is certification of election results for the May 25th special district election. I do believe we have our new board members elect here. And Clay, I'm assuming, take it from here.
So there's no action item required on this. This was given to us, and certification has already been sent back by staff. It's done administratively. So although it says certification, you can consider this also a presentation of this. We're giving those to you and the public in your agenda packet. And so those are available, and no action is required, but we wanted to make sure we've got this. And just to be clear, the current terms end June 30th. The terms that are being certified begin July 1st. So 2 of our board members are still board members after tonight for a little while.
Well, I want to congratulate Nick and Brandon both. Congratulations, guys. So, welcome aboard.
So nothing specific to do on that. And then next is the oath of office.
Oath of office, and I believe Kat was going to kind of MC that for us. So Kat, go ahead and take it away, please.
All right, thank you. Can we please have our electeds stand in front of the dais? I'm going to distribute copies of your oaths to you, and we'll ask that you will read them together and then sign them. Go ahead and stand right in the center so you can see yourselves on screen, and so can your public. And I will hand you these oaths. Mr. Konen. Mr. Slyter. And Director McMaster. And hence for after. Once you've read them, you're free to turn around and sign them on the table, and then if you will just hand them to me as you file away. Thank
And
you.
just to be clear, in the first line where it says the undersigned, that's where you say your name.
Go down the line.
you want to say it at the same time or individually?
Yes, please read them together.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
So,
Three?
right, ready?
Yep.
So,
I,
Brandon
Nick Konen, do hereby accept my appointment to the Board of Directors of Chehalis Park and Recreation
District.
I furthermore promise, agree, and covenant to and with
Chehalis
Park and Recreation District to faithfully perform to the best of my ability all obligations, duties, and requirements that are incidental to my board membership. I further agree that I will always seek to achieve the best interests of the Park and Recreation District in the exercise of the powers vested in me pursuant to ORS 266.
Almost sounded like a quartet.
I almost.
I was waiting
there was
for
like a
special
three-part
accents.
harmony there.
Almost
reading.
going on, yeah.
Great stereo.
Good job.
You tell them that's part of their job once
So-
they get up here.
Exactly.
For incoming
We expect,
electeds
like,
and
beat
re-electeds,
stuff.
thank you for your service, and for our outgoing electeds also, thank you for your service. And Kat, do you want to take the next item too? I think it was the,
We're now moving to
Or
the
actually, I'll
sad
give it to the chair.
portion of our evening, and it's the recognition of service for our outgoing board members. Lisa Rogers, 8 years of service, and Gail Bazeau, 4 years of service. And I think we have something for both of you, a couple of somethings, so.
All right, thank you. We're going to present Director Rogers and Director Bazeau with plaques that commemorate Lisa Rogers elected in 2017 and Gail Bazeau elected in 2021 in recognition of outstanding and distinguished service as a member of the Chehalis Park and Recreation District Board of Directors. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. You guys want to say anything?
Well, yeah,
before we-
now is the time. Say whatever you'd like. You guys have earned the right to say, to have much more time than we'll give you, but feel free if there's anything you'd like to.
I didn't come with the speech. Did you come? Lisa came with the speech. She's going to take
No,
everyone.
I didn't, but I can ad lib.
She can take for both of us.
I just would like to thank all of you for sharing, all of y'all, for sharing your time and your wisdom and your opinions. And I feel very blessed and privileged to have been able to represent this community in this way. And I wish the rest of you so much good luck in your future endeavors. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
What she said. Thanks for. It's been a real pleasure to get to meet all of you and to spend the past 4 years with you. So thank you.
And a plaque and flowers aren't enough to say our appreciation, but know that we do appreciate both of you.
Thank you.
Chair, we do have some treats. So there are treats for really anyone in the audience as well as our board members. And so if people want to do that, we could either do, depending on how the board wants to do this, we can do that on a break, although we just got started, or we could do it at the end of things, depending on how you guys prefer. So
Would you all want to do that near the end and before we exit into our executive session? Then we have a little time to.
it's your meeting, we can do it
Yeah.
after.
Everyone,
That
yeah,
sounds good to me.
yeah.
Sounds good.
So stick around and everyone can talk to Gail and Lisa and bid their adieu. Okay. So next is the adoption of the budget. We have 3 separate resolutions, and this is the final adoption. It's been read. Any other background on this?
Yes, and my button was sticking on my mic, so sorry about that. But yes, so we've gone through, we've done the things associated with our budget calendar that was adopted going into this cycle. The Budget Committee has approved it, so there was a proposed budget that went to the Budget Committee. The Budget Committee then approved it. Following that, we held a budget hearing, and we published some of the required noticing associated with that. And so this is our adoption hearing. And it has What we've got published in the packet is basically a filling of those blanks. When you look in the budget, there's typically a proposed, approved, and adopted column. And so what's here as attachment 1 to this item is that document. And so that will become the adopted budget unless you choose to make any changes at this point. But if there are no changes, you can go ahead and approve. Anyone is welcome to, after you discuss, make a motion to approve resolutions 2025-07, 2025-08, and 2025-09.
Do we have to do them individually or all together?
You can make a motion to adopt all of
I think
them
we can make-
together a single time, but if you would like, you can do them individually.
Okay.
One question I had on this is there was the alteration to staff's budget, which was for the issue of the daycare. That was reviewed and then came back to the board, and the board, my understanding is, did vote to return to the original staff budget, or was there a delineation there?
I'm happy to explain that. So we were looking at those discussions separately. The budget was the budget. It's the fiscal resources associated with activities we might want to do. And that was how it was discussed in the budget committee hearings when this group convened alongside the appointed budget committee members. And then that discussion about whether or not to choose to open in the coming year was separate because that's more operational in nature. So although staff, based on what we've heard from the board, will not be operating the preschool in the coming year, those resources are still in the budget as they were proposed, but they will go untouched unless we have to do something associated with mobilization for a renovation or something like that. So those resources are still there. And I will mention this because we're talking about it, but it's also in the superintendent report. This most recent round of the daycare infrastructure grant fund, we were not successful in that application. We've already reached out to get more information on details about our score, to see what we can do for the next round when it becomes available. It was highly competitive. There were $20 million awarded, and I believe it was $275 million requested. So obviously a lot more requesting going on than resources available, but we still think that we got a reasonably score and we can do better. And we're also going to seek technical assistance. It's our understanding that there's free technical assistance available as part of the program. So we're going to see if we can get that and also help improve our odds. And we're going to look for other opportunities in addition to this program too. So we will be continuing to look for opportunities.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to adopt budget for fiscal year 2025-26, resolution 2025-07, 2025-08, and 2025-09.
I will second it.
Okay. We have a motion that's been made and seconded. Any other discussion regarding the budget? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion as stated to adopt the budget, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. We will go ahead and do our board comments. We'll start with Jim and we'll just go down the line this direction.
Yeah, two comments. One is I was really pleased to see, part of my degree was in environmental education, and I was pleased to see that we're doing some of that. I think there's a camp or two up at Crystal Riley Park, so I'm glad we're finally getting into that part of recreation, so that's good to see. The other thing that I want to mention is I've been reviewing grants statewide for the state right now, and I look at the playgrounds and so on that these folks are wanting to replace, and I'm also noticing that ours are a lot older than a lot of them that are being replaced. In fact, ones that they are asking us to replace look a lot better than ours, so we really need to look at that in the future and see how we're going to come up with the kind of funds it's going to take to improve our playgrounds, make them safe and open to all. So I know that Brian's got that in the budget, which I appreciate, but the costs are crazy. So anyway, that's all I got.
Clay, we have a master plan that shows where we want to have trails go through. I want to confirm, do we have trails that show that they're going through private property?
I do not know the answer to that. If we do, I would say that is a concept level design.
Okay.
And we just can't run trails through things we don't own, have control over, have concurrence over. The idea that we could, I think it's more of the pen needs to connect from one end to the other. So I think it would be incidental. I was looking at the strategic plan, or the Chehalem Trails strategic plan and the map for it earlier today. And most of those, when I see those, they're zoomed out far enough that that line could touch where private property actually exists, but it is not the intent of the district to assume that we can run a trail across someone's private property.
Have you got a dollar figure for the total cost of the trails of which we're thinking about
Are you
building?
talking about the bypass trail
Yes.
or the entire trail system?
The entire trail system from, say, Dundee to Fred Meyer?
So you're
The,
talking bypass trail.
Yeah.
so
That's the bypass.
my recollection is that we have a figure of $79 million identified in some of our strategic planning documents and our methodology. I'm gonna look to Casey, I think it was either 75 or 79.
It said 79 in the packet.
Okay.
That's
So-
district-wide, that's not.
That's
the-
district-wide, not just the
That was
bypass.
from 2010 or 12.
Right. And so that was something that was brought up and discussed at the board with the September and October 2023 strategic planning session. But that's the last time I know of it being discussed in detail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it possible for when we have our next meeting that we could have an actual dollar figure what we think is going to be the cost of just the bypass trail?
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
do that.
that'd be great.
We'll try and do that and especially since you're going to be talking priorities, we'll be happy to provide that.
Because I know that there are priorities like ball fields. We want, Jim was just talking about repairing some of these playgrounds. And we start thinking about where's that money gonna come from, and we talk about closing down programs because they cost the taxpayer $169,000, but then we talk about spending millions upon millions of dollars on trails that will never generate a dollar other than if you have somebody come to our city and spend money at the grocery store or whatever, okay? But it's not gonna generate real dollars for, for it's not gonna be the same as, say, the golf course or our pool. So anyways, it'd just be nice to know those numbers.
Staff will be happy to provide that.
Yeah, okay, thanks so much.
Yep.
Oh, I do want to say, I've already said, I still have an eyeball. I do want to say how much I really have enjoyed working with you, Gail, and you as well, Lisa. Thank you guys so much for all that you guys did.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, and I wish you guys the very best.
I'll echo the sentiment, we can't say it enough. Thank you to both of you for your service. This is it is a service. We don't get paid for this. I don't know, it's something that we should say. This is volunteer. We put a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot more than just what is seen in the meetings. We, our liaison responsibilities and everything else. This is something that, public service, we need more of it, not less of it. So thank you too for what you do. And for the two board members elect coming on board, this has been an incredible 2 years for this district. I think the change, the modernization, everything that's occurred has been so exciting and so positive. So I'm excited for you two to come on board and to just continue the progress. So that's all I got.
I don't really have anything, but I did want to say that I went, we did a family hike at the golf course this weekend, and the blueberries are so much fun. I knew they were at the library. I didn't know they were at the, oh. Nothing. I said nothing. Now we know where Casey hangs out at lunch.
Are you?
That's all I had.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
I just wanted to say, a couple of weeks ago, Matt Dauphin coordinated a group of volunteers to go down, and the CPRD staff provided a lot of the equipment to do some trail cleanup at Ewing Young. And it was great because there were so many other trees that had ivy and whatever growing up it, and it was a large group of people that came out and did such. It was really encouraging to see people come out and do that work and participate in a way that we all should try to participate. And the park looks way better for it. And then again, I just wanted to thank all of you for sharing your time with me and listening to some of the stuff you probably didn't want to hear me say. And I appreciate so much the staff. Again, this district is nothing without you. And I am eternally grateful for all that you all do to make my life better living in this community. So thank you. I hope everything runs smoothly. I think you're under good leadership right now. And we're really glad that that was a challenging piece to go through, but I feel that the district is in good hands and with all of you. So, and you as the public, please continue to be involved. It is the only way that it works, because otherwise, in the absence of your information, we'll make decisions in a vacuum. So we appreciate that you show up and that you're here and that you care. So thank you all.
Okay. Now we will move to our committee updates. I don't know, do we have a update from the Chehalem Trails, Heritage Trails Committee? Anything planned?
Nothing planned
Okay.
that I need to announce. The priority is still getting the maps and the signage done at Crystal Riley. We had another field trip on Monday. We're super close. It's out for review, and then we'll hand it over to Brian's team. And thank you to Brian for organizing staff to be there to walk again with us. We wanted to do a double check on some of the areas that we wanted to make sure that we had mapped it properly, and it was great to have the committee and the staff working together, and there's a lot of next level ideas, for points of interest or pointing out certain foliage or things like that came out of that trip. So it was great. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have some draft maps. We'll have the stickers on the posts, and the signage package will all start to come together.
Matt,
and
Matt, just a reminder is that whoever speaks will need to go to the microphone.
Yeah,
Because we can't, no, it's not your fault. We just have to remind people, and I have to remind myself, so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
But we need to do that.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that reminder.
Yeah, and I, as a liaison for the Heritage Trails Committee, we're working very hard, and staff's working very hard. Thank you so much, Brian, for taking the time, taking us out there. We're walking the trails. We're really trying to get a hold of everything. And I think when this is resolved, staff will bring something to the board, probably, if there's any sort of any map package or anything that we need to pass or fund, I'm assuming. Or it will just be an update.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
one way or another, but
Yeah.
definitely an update and the progress.
Yeah.
And thanks for the opportunity, but I'd really like to thank, and Lisa mentioned that, it's the volunteerism and what that Trails Committee is just one example of that, is absolutely fantastic working with you folks. And it is above the call of duty.
Mike, can you be a little bit closer, please?
It's just amazing. Amazing what you guys are providing, the resources and the knowledge and the brain trust is invaluable, and it's a pleasure to be part of that. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, it's a lot of work that folks are doing, a lot of volunteer effort. So, okay, Golf Clubhouse Development Committee.
Bob Travers, the chair, one of the chairs of the clubhouse committee, and I live in Newburgh. I'm here to thank you for allowing me to be part of this committee. It was an honor when Jason said to the rest of you, let's give him a chance, and that kind of changed everything. But today I wanted to let you know why I joined, and that's what this small presentation is about. I am truly honored today to be part of this. I know there's the change of guards going on here, and I'd love to be part of this whenever it happens, so thank you for allowing us to be here. About 2.5 years ago, I embarked on a journey that had been both challenging and rewarding. It all began when I started petitioning on change.org. It's a website for petitions where we collected over 370 signatures for getting this clubhouse built. I don't know if you knew of this, but I'm explaining it to you now. This petition was a testament to collect voices of the community to let you guys know that there are people out here that remember the promise that was given to us over 20 years ago about building a clubhouse. Motivated by overwhelming support that I got from that and a desire to make a tangible difference, I decided to take my involvement a step further, and I joined the golf course committee to ensure that our voices were not only heard but also acted upon. Being part of this committee not only has allowed me to work closely with other passionate individuals who share the same vision for the golf course and the clubhouse. Our goal has always been to create a space that is not only enjoyable for all members, but also sustainable and environmentally friendly. Through our collective efforts, we have been able to implement several key initiatives aimed at improving the overall experience for everyone at the golf course. These initiatives include enhancing the course infrastructure, promoting eco-friendly practices, and organizing community events to foster a sense of belonging and camaraderie among members. In conclusion, my participation in this initiative is driven by a deep-seated commitment to our community and to the belief that altogether, we can achieve great things. I'm grateful for the opportunity to contribute to this cause and look forward to continuing our effort in making our golf course a better place to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Okay, pickleball. This might be your last pickleball update.
Yeah, maybe. I think so, actually. Yeah, nothing too new to report. We haven't met since our really successful public open house last month. We're going to be meeting on Monday to kind of give updates on the Jakewith project, as well as discuss the future of our committee.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, Clay, you are up.
All right, so as I've been trying to get into the habit of doing, sent you guys the written superintendent's update. There's a few things that weren't in there, and I'm saying that out loud now to remind myself of those. On the finance side, we're still working on the annual report, or not the annual report, the audit report, and so that's something that we're actively working on, and we're poking that auditor to try and get them moving. We did have some folks from Moody's reach out with respect to ratings and saying that they would like to see a draft report too, so we are giving an extra nudge to those auditors to get that to us, or at least a draft version that is shareable. We have not received it yet. We were successful in filing the taxes for one of the years that we're behind on for the foundation, so we've immediately moved into doing the next one, so we're on tax year 24 now. I'm going to leave most of the capital projects updates, which are also written down to Casey for the active projects, because he's been doing those the most often. But one of the things I did want to mention is that we're now in contract for a capital projects manager. It's going to be about 20 to 25 hours a week, and that's with the COG. And so we're doing that as part of our membership services agreement because we can get right into it. And frankly, they have a number of resources that allows them to switch between. But they have an individual, her name is Laura Conroy, and she's going to be supporting us as a capital projects manager. As I understand it, she has a legal background previously, but also has worked particularly in affordable housing project management. And why that's helpful for us is because it's my understanding from her background is that she has done both the concept and design work, and she's been around planning, and she's also been around the construction management. We want someone familiar with each of those spaces, even if a major role for them is going to basically be project managing or kind of sheepdogging the leads for our various projects. So for example, right now we have 3 different firms that we're working with that we've hired consultants for, and that person is keeping them on time and on budget. So that's some of the things that I think are fairly important there. The other things that I wanted to make sure that we bring up, let's see, our golf course clubhouse feasibility study, the RFP for that should be going out before long. When we get through that process and prepare to select a contractor or a consultant for that, that will come to your board at that time for selection of those individuals that will be working for us. So we won't hire someone, we won't bring them on board until that comes to the board here. One of the other things I wanted to mention that's in here and that some folks might not be familiar with is that we were, an estate gift was made to the district some years ago by the Brillis family. And we've had a caretaker on that property the last couple of years to caretake it when the property owner who was there, she moved to Friendsview, and we were taking care of her, both the property and her personal effects as well associated with that. And so Mary Ann Brillis has passed away. And so we sent our condolences on to the family, expressing how much we appreciate their gift and what a gift it is. So there are, to the best of my understanding of looking at the statute, the warranty deed associated with that and some of the other documents, there are no deed restrictions that the district has to deal with, but we do have to, at some point, make decisions about what's the best use for that property.
So for those that don't have, have not met the Brillis before, Lou Brillis was very active. Don, you remember this in the senior population, and helped us that way with the senior center and so forth. So he's very active in the district when he was alive. Great guy, and his wife was super. So they will be missed by the district. They not only are giving us a gift, but they gave us the gift of volunteerism when they were here, and so that's really appreciated.
That's right. Thank you. One of the other things that I wanted to note in here is that we did receive a letter of intent associated with sale of a portion of the Billick Park area. And so there's a portion, if you're familiar with it, along 5th Street where there's a strip of houses there. And so there's an individual that was interested in what, from a land use standpoint, we would refer to as a partition. So that means 2 to 3, something resulting in one property going to either 2 parcels or 3 parcels. And so this would be a minor subdivision that's being requested. From the staff side, I've consulted with other staff here. We do not think that it's in the best interest of the district to proceed with this, but I'm advising you that this offer has come in. And if there's any comments or feedback from the board that you would want to share with staff or that you want us to consider or pursue this, that would be information that would be good to have. There are some details in there, but I'm happy to kind of also answer any questions that you might have about what came in. And it was a very preliminary one. I think it was done with good intent. I did want to point out, I specifically did not include the individual's name in here because it's a public setting. That individual might have feelings about that, and I didn't think it was appropriate to do so without, just to surprise them in that way. So I chose not to do that, but.
So why are you recommending not to pursue it?
Parkland is hard to get back.
Oh, so they want us to give that to them?
They want us to, oh yeah. So there's an interest in us subdividing off a portion of it. And the rationale for it is not completely, so there's some logic to it. The idea is that the way that it was explained to me when I spoke with this individual was that there's essentially a green space gap between the existing houses and the parking area that we're going to create as part of I believe it's phase 4 in development of Sandra State Park. And so there would be this kind of small area between those that, under this person's perception, would be about the size of a lot. And so that would just fill in that gap, so they felt it would be a relatively de minimis impact. And their proposal, as they explained it, was, they would be willing to pay for this, and it could offset the cost of creating that parking. And so the idea of kind of paying for a portion of the development. So it's not something that I think is in the interest of the district, because it's hard to get parkland back, clearly, especially when you're in the middle of a city. But I thought it was worth sharing with the board that this proposal had come in.
And I do know the owner, and I'm recusing myself from any kind of discussion. So if there is any discussion, I'll let you all take over.
Yeah, I would say no, that when that land was donated by them, there's conditions on that property, so, and I don't even think we can look at it until, the board has information on what those conditions are. So I would say at this point, I'm not interested in giving up Park District property until I have more information.
Can I ask a question in response to that? Do you want us to do the research to find out if there are restrictions and what they are, or is there no interest to start with and we don't need to go there?
At this point, with all that's going on over in that area, I'm not interested in doing that as a board member. But might be another time you want to talk about that. At this point, no.
I think it looks like you guys have your plate full right now. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a real benefit to the district, so like, why would we be looking at it?
Yeah, and I would say if this is something somebody gave us, this piece of property, we shouldn't, and I don't know what stipulations were there, but if there were stipulations, we should never, ever go back on the stipulations.
Sure.
Yeah.
And add to that, I don't want to go through an appraisal, do all that other stuff when it comes down to it for this little piece. So I would say, thank you for bringing it to the board.
Sure. Not a problem.
I think that's that.
Okay, all right, no more on that one, then thank you. I'll be able to communicate with that individual. And, let's see. The other items are in there. One of the items I wanted to bring up, because one of the board members had asked about it, was the forward-looking calendar aspect of things. So, right now, as I put it into this memo, the forward-looking calendar for July to August would be a special meeting on July 10 and this is something if we've got, we have board members elect, and so they are welcome to nod or shake their heads or do whatever they need to on availability and those sorts of things. But right now, we have a special meeting on July 10th that is a work session, is the only item that's currently scheduled to be on the agenda, and that would be for priorities and some fiscal policy discussion. There's a special meeting scheduled on July 17th. It would really just be to finish the bidding process and for the board to approve a notice to proceed for construction on both Jakewith project and the Sanders State project for phase 1. And then for August, and I've lost my last page that was printed out, but it's...
Is there any reason why we can't combine those two so we do it one night,
We
single
can.
time?
And so when we initially scheduled the July 10th, we didn't know that we were going to have to schedule the July 17th. So
Okay,
shifting
July
that forward
17th.
is an option. It will make that take longer.
Okay.
But the other thing is then we have our regular meeting in the 4th week of August. And so as it was currently discussed and as I described it in here, that we would have the selection of officers and liaisons in August. However, a board member brought to our attention, there was an interest in doing that in July if possible, because that's what we did last time. When staff looked into it, we've been somewhat inconsistent on when we have the officers and liaisons appointed. Sometimes it's in July, sometimes it's in August. And when we looked further into our policies, we kind of have a little bit of a conflicting information. On one hand, the policies say in July, if there's nothing important if there's not anything scheduled for the agenda, don't schedule a meeting. On the other, it says board officers will be selected in July. So it seems like an internal consistency. And that's probably why it hasn't been conducted consistently. So it's really at this point, if we wanted to just pull everything together, then we could do everything on July 17th.
I think that's
If we
what
didn't
should
want
do.
July 17th to be longer than it needs to be, then we could move the officer item to August. But the board member that reached out to me had said they'd prefer to do it in July.
Yeah, I think we should just do it all at once, get it done, not have multiple meetings.
I agree.
And just to be clear, that it would still be a special meeting because it's not calendared yet as a regular meeting. So we wouldn't do minutes, we wouldn't do consent agenda, and we wouldn't do extra stuff. It's only the things we specifically calendar.
Let's put it down on 17th, 6 o'clock. Does that work for you? Does that work for you guys? Does that work for you, Matt?
Yeah, I'll probably be in town.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And again, well, it'll be hybrid, so someone could participate remote if they had to. And I think that Later, we may look at our policies and also ask ourselves if there's value. From a staff perspective, I will say there is some value in considering going dark 1 month out of the summer because we're busy. Also, it'd be nice to be able to offer people the opportunity to schedule vacations where they're not always trying to get around the board schedule. We have about at least an extra week of production schedule. We're usually spending a couple of days uploading and compiling materials for publication. Then we try and publish a week in advance, and then there's the meeting itself. So that makes it hard to turn around if someone's got more than a long weekend without potentially getting into a conflict somewhere in the production schedule. But that's not what I'm asking for tonight, so we will go ahead and update those things so they happen on July 17th.
Okay.
Great.
All right, and I'm looking at Kat for that to make sure she's got it. Thank you.
Got that, Richard?
And July 10th, we'll go ahead and do the
Cancel.
noticing that we need to pull that July 10th off the calendar
Okay.
too, and make that clear to folks. And then
Richard likes it.
the, one less meeting. And then why don't we, from there, I would say, so that's the end of my oh, actually, I take
One more
that.
thing,
I had,
the funnest part of our whole meeting,
what's that?
the
treats?
Old Fashioned Festival
Oh.
Parade.
Thank you for reminding me. Then I have two things to add.
Okay.
So the Old Fashioned Festival, so for any board members elect, so the district typically puts, basically registers to be part of the Newburgh Old Fashioned Festival Parade. And so typically our board members are part of that. Matt Compton, our recreation coordinator, has gone ahead and registered us for that. So you will have a golf cart and a board member in that golf cart. Usually I think there's, according to our chair, from what he told me, since I'm new, there's often the +1 or whomever you want to have in your golf cart. After you've decorated it to the nines to make sure that it's something exciting that looks good for the district and fun. And then also, and Julie, hopefully this is not a surprise for you, Matt said he's going to look in to see if there are any groups or organizations that we're doing things with that might want to participate. So he didn't sound like that was determined yet. He was getting us registered just to make sure we were ready to do it though.
Yeah, I think he's looking into that.
Okay, great.
I wanted to ask, how was the candy last year? Did you guys have enough? Do you need more? Like, that's the most important thing.
It's like there's never
We had
enough.
just enough candy. A couple of us ran out, and a couple of us had just enough. So
Yeah, I felt really bad
yeah.
at the end for those
You know,
children.
that's so sad, like, we should have to, like, reserve something.
If
You
next
should have
time,
to
Julie,
reserve it
if you
at the
could
end
tell
because
us how many
at the
kids will
end
be
of
there,
everything.
that would help me figure it out.
I can do that.
And I think the other question is for the new board members. I believe it's July 26th. Is that right? For the parade.
Could, if one of the staff that's here I'll try and look it up as we're doing things, but we'll
So,
confirm that and send that out to
I don't know
folks.
if you two are available, if you want to drive a golf cart, bring a kiddo, bring a significant other. It's always good to have a couple people. It makes it a lot easier. You can't throw the candy, like they have rules about it. It's more like dropping the candy. So, you know.
It's the best, you guys. You
Well,
guys.
if you're
Staff-
walking, you can throw it.
I'd love to join, so we'll discuss
All right,
it.
cool.
So staff will go ahead and send something around to board members for that to make sure you guys can save the date.
Yeah.
So we'll do that, and some instructions on how it all works, since I'm not the most well-versed in it. So thank you for that reminder. One of the other things I wanted to mention is I had this is not in the superintendent's report, but I thought it was important to bring up, is we had a meeting with the city about Memorial Park. Memorial Park, amongst others, is one of those that's owned by the city. The city, and you guys may have heard this in community discussions, the city's police station needs to do a parking lot expansion. And so they've let us know that they are preparing and kind of doing design work for that parking lot expansion, which is going to encroach into Memorial Park. I've let them know that there's not a situation that we're excited about where there's not a situation where losing parkland is a good thing. So it's not something we're generally supportive of, but we understand that they need to make tough decisions at times, and that they also understand that. So they're managing public resources, and that we understand it's their property, so they have the ability to do that, although we've been managing it for years and years. So they respect that. We're trying to work with them and see if there's some things that can be done to kind of soften the landing on this particular approach. So if there's anything that's going to be destroyed, we're asking that it be relocated instead, or that could be destroyed. If there's any opportunities for things like tree salvage or those sorts of things, we're asking if they can do that. So, and if they would be willing to pay for that since it's their project. So that's the ask and what we've done so far. And we'll keep you apprised of that.
correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, you can help me out here maybe. Are we maintaining that part around the gazebo? Because I remember when I left, the city was doing it. Has that switched over to us now?
I think, not to correct, but even when, as long as I've been here, we've taken care of the whole park.
So you're doing the mowing and stuff around the
When I came
gazebo
from
and
the
everything?
city doing that, I used to say, hey, this is the pretty part, and then Park and Rec's over here. When I came to Park and Rec, very fortunately, I said, hey, the whole thing's a pretty part. So, but we've taken care of the whole thing, Jim, for
Okay,
quite a while.
thank you.
So I concur with the superintendent's comments. We hate to lose parkland like that. But he has talked about relocating the gazebo, all the crepe myrtles, some very valuable trees. And so we're doing research on that and giving them the numbers, and I think that's appropriate.
So
And what's the ETA for them to break ground? I know it's been delayed.
I don't have a date from them yet.
Okay.
And so I've been given just a rough concept drawing, so there would be a portion that is where that gazebo is, and that's what they've talked about, the possibility of pulling down and then relocating to another place. I will say that one of my points of feedback to them was Memorial Park would be hard to relocate that in because they're literally making it smaller. And it's already got a lot of components in it. We also don't want to damage any of the existing mature trees that are there. So we're trying to be sensitive about how that gets used. And they have been trying to make a good faith effort to talk to the interested and impacted parties. That includes us. They're also talking to the folks at the Newburgh Old Fashioned Festival to make sure that things that happen don't excessively impact that either. So,
Yeah, I'm hoping we can, I think that gazebo though was in memoriam for someone, and I'm really hoping we can relocate that rather than just tear it down, because I think that there'll be some pushback on
The
that.
gazebo is not our property. It's never been our property. It's the city's property. Don, that was for Mayor, do you remember the mayor? What was her name? I'm trying to recall, but she was the one that pushed that as the city. So it's a city piece of property, the gazebo.
Could have been Donna Proctor, perhaps.
Yeah, Donna Proctor, right. You're right.
Yeah, the
And so-
property's theirs too.
So basically, we've never been responsible for that piece. So to move that, I'm not sure we want to be involved with that.
Clay, how much space are we talking about?
I don't know in square footage. It does not go all the way across the lot. It's kind of the rear portion towards Blaine Street. And so that is the gazebo side, and goes most of the way across their parking lot area and extending it out, but not all the way across to Howard Street. So there's a strip that would still continue, which is where we have a memorial garden and a couple other items. And so that would actually be avoided, which would be good. So that is all I have for my comments. And so unless there's other questions, then I'm going to hand it over to Casey for the capital projects report.
Super.
So you had the written one. I don't know if there's any comments you want to make on other items too. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and mention, and I can fill in. And I think that I've talked to at least one or two of the board members about the change on the status of that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Casey, microphone.
This is about the Rennie Field grant. About 3 weeks ago, I guess, we were contacted by the Oregon Parks. And because of the language in our IGA with the school district, we need to convert that to a lease agreement and not an IGA, because they mean different things. One is to do with the property and what we can do on the property. It's a lease tenant owner contract versus what an agreement is, the cooperation between those entities. In our agreement states it is very much like a lease. It does both things. And what was said to us was it just needs to be retitled as an easement. And that came out of
As a lease.
Or a lease, sorry. And that came out of the first alteration by the school district after John Bridges had submitted the lease to them as far as the agreement to get the grant going. So I know Clay's had discussions with Dave at the school district. And we just wanted to let you know, they're kind of holding this grant for us. And all they need is this intergovernmental agreement converted to.
Can I ask, are we eliminating the IGA and replacing it with a lease, or are
No,
we just adding
you're
a
just
lease to?
Changing the title of the document, that's all
Okay.
really all you need
Okay.
to do.
So it maintains because I know we had to work through quite a bit of stuff to finally get here.
Yes.
So it
Exactly.
holds everything, it's just we're changing the legalese to satisfy the parks.
I can add a couple of comments on my meeting with Dave Parker. So shortly after, Casey notified me that we had done this, and we got some, and Casey was really good, he followed up and got clarification on exactly what was being asked of us, that it was just that retitling, because most of the other sections of the agreement looked fine. It's just that something about leadership with the granting agency was not comfortable with an IGA as opposed to a lease agreement. So we will be basically retitling it, and so after this, I'll be basically sending a statement back to the school district so they can share it with their facilities committee, make sure everyone's on board, get it updated, send it back to the granting agency, and we'll move along.
So, Matt and I, we went and met with Dave earlier on, because he was hoping to have the lease, intergovernmental agreement, whatever, shortened. And, we have it at 30 years, I think it is right now, or is it 50? I know we
30
went
or
at 100.
35.
and we
It's at
said
30.
It's at 30.
And we started with 99, and it went down to 10,
Right.
and the grant requires at least 25.
Okay, I just want to make sure that, like, through this process, we're not going to be losing something in terms of the ability to use that space for the
No, they
period of
would-
time that we.
And that has not been asked of us.
Okay.
The grants committee, and Jim's part of this, I don't know if he had any say in this at all, but upon review, and he was late getting to it, so he didn't notice it until whenever that was, May or early June. And he reached back out to us and said, we have a problem. So they're trying to resolve it with us,
Okay.
and they're giving us the time to do that.
The state will work with you as long as you move forward with it. There shouldn't be a problem. As long as they know you're moving, there shouldn't be a problem.
Yep. And we're doing that.
So I wanted to bring that up. That was one of the things. At the cultural center, we're going to be conducting a one-year warranty. And I know we have some issues down there with benches and certain items that appear to have not worked as well as they had hoped. So that's coming up in July. Hopefully not on the 17th. So we're still working with the architects and Sean down at the cultural center to get that all shored up. Jake, with pickleball, all this stuff is in your manual, except I've kind of made some updates. The permits have been submitted, bids advertised, and they're out to bid. And we should get them back. I think they're all due on like the 12th of July. So we'll have time to go through them and kind of pick the ones or review them and choose, and you guys can pick whoever you want.
I've been talked to by a few folks in the pickleball community about the city's requirement concerning the sound curtains that they want to put all the way around that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see possibly if we could apply for a variance concerning that with the understanding that we'd like to see how it works without that, but with the understanding that if it becomes a problem, then we'll look to put them up, because I would hate to put something up, spend taxpayers' money, and it's a problem. So I request maybe that we look at that as a variance and see how the city responds to that. Because I'm not sure how much information the city had to make that requirement, other than reading about it in certain newspapers, so on and so forth, in certain communities. So, anyway,
I can speak to that a little bit. I think we're happy to apply, and the way that would probably be the easiest pathway, so there wouldn't be a variance because there's no regulation to vary, if that makes
Okay.
sense. The, The city did not have a specific design standard associated with noise for this, but they do have a noise nuisance regulation that's in a different chapter from the development code. Plus, this would be for an activity that we already do, although there is an expansion component. That said, there is a process by which you can request to modify a condition of approval, and we could ask to modify it or eliminate it.
Okay.
And we can do that. That should be administrative, so it should be shorter. But I would kind of ask the feelings on this on if that means we can't enter construction, do we want to pursue it? But it also might be that we can pursue it while under construction, knowing that it's a part of construction, and we could just do it towards the tail end. It doesn't have to hold it up.
I definitely don't want to hold up construction, but I definitely also want to pursue it.
Okay.
Yeah,
How did other board members feel about that?
Well, and I know there was a discussion, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, at one of the meetings. There's different types of sound barrier technology, and I think one of the concerns is pickleball is a spectator sport. So the idea of having it too closed off where people can't see, and I know that there's the behind area, people set up chairs to watch because they are doing tournaments like they had just a week ago. There's a lot of spectators, people sitting in the lawn. So if there's a large barrier that's not see-through, that is a sound barrier, yes, we accomplished that goal, but now we've kind of diminished what the purpose was of having a pickleball area where you have tournaments that can be seen by spectators. So.
And one of the things, and I don't know if we've done this yet, but we can always share kind of design specs with what we're planning on doing. We can share that with their planning division and see if those are adequate. So if we did a 3/4 coverage, or we left some other things so that it was partial see-through or other things, and see if that seems to meet the sniff test
right.
for them. The other thing is what they used for some of their condition that they applied was some national standards and considered best practices that they pulled from national associations. So it wasn't local, it wasn't site-specific, but we did not appeal the decision, in part because it seemed like it was an attempt to make sure that the facility was not upsetting the neighbors, and we were within inside of some of those distance criteria that are used elsewhere. So it didn't seem wholly unfounded, but at the same time, it wasn't based on anything specific that's currently adopted. But then again, pickleball courts are a fairly specific use.
But,
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I mean, you guys have been playing pickleball for a while at Jakewith, right? Have there been any complaints about the noise?
And that would be something that we would put into an application if we requested.
I think Julie has a response to that.
I would say we have not had any. We had one gentleman that visited a board meeting a couple months ago. It might have been 2. And that is the only complaint I've received or that we've gotten. And it's amazing because there's so much activity over there with the softball, going on as well. And the neighbors seem to, I would say, even enjoy it, with the activity out there. At least that's what I've heard when I've talked to them. So, yeah, I'm kind of surprised.
And perhaps there's just, in pickleball design, obviously the courts, they're changing every couple years just because it's such a new sport, but perhaps there's a way of doing a backdrop sound barrier that actually fits with the playability of the court, but it only goes up a certain height, and so there's still visibility. So just whatever we can do to kind of make it something that works long term.
Casey, do you have any thing that you could share at this point about what the project manager's been able to identify about alternatives, cost, and how effective he thinks they'll actually be?
They will be effective. The requirement from the city would be to drop it 10 to 15 decibels, which is quite substantial. Right now, there's only 6 courts down there, and they share with tennis and all that, and tennis is about 10 to 15 decibels lower noise level than pickleball, and pickleball seems to have irritating factors to it, and that's what was found out in all the city's studies, and they looked anywhere from Canada all the way through the US as far as requirements for pickleball. in cities that were building facilities, and most of them tried to do it 600 feet or more away from residential areas to mitigate noise without sound barriers. We have 175 feet on some certain neighbors down at Jacob. So we're actually trying to prevent somebody from making comments.
Is the,
But I do agree with you, Jim, if you want to pursue that, and they allow us to do that, and just make some considerations for the future or whatever, if the noise isn't too bad, but my guess is they got 5 comments back from citizens around that area, too.
That's my
so
recollection. was-
this is an assumption, because I'm not as sure how these barriers are gonna be adhered. Are they just basically gonna be adhered
They're
onto
clipped-
the fence?
They're clipped onto the fence.
They're clipped onto the fence, so it's
Yeah.
easy for us to
Take 'em
come
down,
back
clean 'em.
and take care of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And the cost of these are?
Upwards of $70,000.
$70,000.
Just for the new courts, not the entire facility.
Okay, so I think we need to take a look at it.
Yep.
And then if it's a problem and it's an easy fix, if a problem does occur, I think the taxpayers appreciate us going that way,
Okay.
so.
We'll do that. Sandra State Park, permitting's been submitted, all the bidding documents are out, the advertisement, and we should get all those back by July 12th. So, in time for our meeting. Again, we had a pre-bid meeting, I think June 24th, Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't remember which day.
I think it was
There were
Tuesday.
5 contractors that showed up. Kind of let them know, and they all, 2 local people that have done work around here, and some landscape contractors, and just general people that might be interesting to work with. What else did I got here? And there are schedules within the board packet, so if you want any dates or times or anything that's going on, they're all in the board packet. The bypass trail, we've submitted permits to the city, 1200C. There's a joint permit application that goes out to Army Corps and a bunch of other DSL and a bunch of other departments. Public improvement through the city, building permit, floodplain development permit from the city of Newburgh. Also got the okay from ODOT to, I mean, they're gonna have to inspect it too. They're building inspectors and that kind of thing, so, things are rolling.
All right. Is that it for you?
Yep.
All right. So with that, end of the capital projects report, and then I guess we'll hand it over, unless there's board questions, we'll hand it over to the staff for other activity report. If they've got any comments. So Julie or Brian or Max, any comments on the activity reports?
You want the long version or the short version, Jason?
Really short.
Let's go
Short.
short, yeah.
Everything's going really well. No, I wanted to mention that on June 18th, we had the COG dinner, so the Council of Governments dinner at the Cultural Center. Kat and Matt and Angela and I were on the committee, and it was really fun. Jason sang, and it was wonderful. Brian, it was actually, all of us needed to, be, I would say, involved with that to make that happen. And Brian had beautiful flowers on the table, beautiful flowers on the stage, and it was just a really fun event. We had a lot of participation. There were a lot of people there. The Sawduster Club gave us 100 pens that they made, and that was kind of a neat gift. They went like crazy, like everybody, came up and wanted one. The food was great. Trellis is, we used trellis, and that was really great. So, and then a special shout out to Kat. She emceed the whole thing. She was amazing. Yeah. And Matt too. Matt was involved in that too. So that was a really fun event for us. Okay, I'm gonna go really quick then. Summer childcare is going great. It's at Joanne Austin. We have 122 kids, the most we've ever had, and we've outgrown that facility, really. So we're looking at kind of alternatives, and then for next year, we might need to do something different. The front desk, I just wanted to let everybody know, from May 1st to the 15th, we had 6,875 guests, or at least beeps. And the 16th through the 31st, we had 7,000. So that's pretty great. That place is hopping. Youth sports, our summer camps, if you drive around, you'll see the kids out there at the high school or on the other fields. That's going wonderful. I wanted to mention that we partner with George Fox University, and we put on a free camp for kids. It's going to be, I think it's August 20th, and the kids register through us. It's, again, completely free. And then the George Fox sports teams, the head coach and their, that sounds better. The head coach and their athletes actually work with the kids. So we have like basketball, softball, lacrosse. It's really neat activity. And it hits right, in the summer where, kids are kind of looking for things to do. So I thought that was really, really neat and a great partnership between us. Let's see. We are going to be hosting Summer Nationals in July. Do not go near Chehalis Valley Middle School during that time. It is crazy over there. We probably get more complaints about that than the pickleball, to be quite honest. Let's see. Recreation. The tumble track arrived. You guys had voted, or not voted, but had approved that purchase. And it's really big. And it's one of those, I don't know if you've ever gotten anything from like Temu or anything like that, but it's vacuum packed. So when you open it up, it's just going to go. So we're trying to figure out how to get the old one out before we do that, because I don't think there's going to be enough room. So that's kind of funny. We did have, through the recreation department, we did have a pickleball tournament at Jaquith, which was really well attended. The senior center is very busy at this time of year. I've been spending a lot of time over there. There's a lot of activity. Kellen is not here today because he's serving beer at the golf course. We had an event there today. I think Casey spoke at it. He's really busy. He had some summer camps this year with youth, and he had 31 kids in his camp and 10 on the wait list. So that's really picked up a lot. And then in aquatics, we are offering now like graduation parties. So at the end of the year, like the high school will have a sober graduation party. And I know my son, he went to Wings and Waves for that. So we've started to offer that. And we already have somebody that is going to be signing a contract next week. It's really neat. They come in about 10 p.m. and they party all night basically. And then they leave about 5 a.m. So it's really a neat thing. Go ahead.
Did they check into those leases? Because I remember they can be very lucrative.
Oh, yes.
With those schools. So hopefully they looked around at other places.
Yes.
Because that's quite a chunk of change. They're going to be using the gym and the pool?
Yeah, in fact, they've requested bounce houses in the gymnasium. So I'm going to talk to Kevin at Hagen Hamilton about that.
Have their own insurance.
Yeah, but what a neat thing, That's really, that's pretty special. Swim lessons completely full. Newburgh High School, we have a lifeguarding class, PE class at the high school. We picked up 10 lifeguards just from that class, so that was a success. And then we had our last graduation for our preschool, and that was really a great day, but really a sad day. And so I wanted to thank Deanna and her staff. It was tremendous, and she's done a very, very nice job throughout the years, really. She's a great preschool teacher, and so we will miss having that activity. I think that's it. I wanted to ask you guys really quick, and Jim, you might know this. Matt Compton and I were talking about this. There was on Facebook, there was a CPRD coin found at Ewing Young Park. And somebody took a picture of it and put it on Facebook. And so I was wondering if you had any information about that. It was really cool. It's a coin, and it has.
Did it come from Ewing Young, like the Ewing Young, as in the pioneer Ewing Young? Because I don't remember any kind of coin
Really?
in the 40 years I was here now.
I'll send you a picture of it.
Yeah.
It had like Bigfoot on it.
It
So anyway, we were
Matt
just
might have
curious.
made that, but I don't remember anything about it.
We were just curious. We wanted to ask the old guys. So
Okay.
The old guy. That's even better. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Julie. I definitely will make it short, and my report's in there, but absolutely, if there's any questions from the board, and there may be in regards to anything that's going on in parks or whatnot. But we obviously, as busy as that is, I say it every month, we're the ones behind the scene, and we love it, and we're keeping that going. So the machine's working quite well together.
Are the mowers, are those just general maintenance, or those specific to the golf course, the ones that we?
Those were workman's in the
Okay.
in the packet.
Okay,
Yeah, so like the RTB type thing.
Okay.
Definitely, we definitely need those.
yeah.
I was gonna say well needed, but whatever. That's why I don't talk a lot. Thank you.
I don't really have anything, just mowing grass and keeping it green.
I'd like to hear something from finance.
Very busy this time of year, end of the fiscal year. Yeah, working on the audit still.
Amber.
Gonna try to get those foundation taxes for the 2024 year finished up and sent off to the IRS. It's also a very busy time for those summer hires, onboarding them.
Did we get a new accountant for the foundation, or were we able to reconnect with?
We have not yet. We sent out requests for pricing
Okay.
for some people, and we have gotten those back. We just need to make a decision.
Gotcha.
basically.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you. That wraps up staff reports, citizen comments. I don't know if
We don't have
I
any.
don't think I saw any in there.
The only one that we put in was correspondence. We put in that the amateur radio month correspondence in there, and that was partially because we do have staff here that participate in the ham radio network, and we've also hosted events for that. So we consider that as an additional supplemental thing. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Richard. For participating in those that's related to emergency preparedness. And so we get to be part of that network, especially with so many facilities and facilities that might be able to serve the community if there was an emergency that are, so we make sure that we tap into that and as a supplemental activity that some of our staff do.
Amateur Radio Month.
Amateur Radio Month.
Yeah.
Super.
Okay, well, what we will do, we're going to take we'll come back at 7:22, so 10-minute break, and encourage everyone to mingle, talk to Gail and Lisa, have some cupcakes, and then we're going to come back into an executive session, and we will have to clear this room for the executive session when that.
So for during executive session, anyone that's not part of the board or the staff that are invited to be a part of that, you can be in the lobby or outside. You just can't be in here in this boardroom. Normally we would go to the other room, but it's under renovation, so we can't use that one. So, but thank you, and you can take the snacks outside, but you should hang out for 10 minutes and try the
Yeah.
snacks.
How long would it be?
Hang out.
We don't,
Oh, it's
not excessively
impossible
long,
to,
but it'll be a little bit. We got to talk. Sparkling cider is in the fridge.
know.
Okay, we will be going into an executive session to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions pursuant to ORS 192.6602E. We will come out into a regular public session before the meeting is adjourned, and no decisions will be made in executive session. Okay. We are now out of executive session, and no decisions have been made, and we will now adjourn. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, but anyway.